I know how hard these players are working. I know how good they are and how hard they've worked for a number of years, because this is the pinnacle. This is what they wanted to go after. This is what we talked about last Christmas as being very much a sole focus of the year. And for those players who miss out, it's going to be a real body blow. And I'm incredibly conscious of that. And I sympathise with it, but you can only take 31, and that's the brutality of it, really.
Yeah, it is a very brutal day for those people who aren't going to be selected for the Rugby World Cup. We know from books that come out years later that this is life-changing for some players. Some players use it as a kick up the ass to go on and become absolutely amazing. Think of Tommy Bowe and Jamie Heaslip, who both had that experience. And then there are others for whom this was their shot. That was their one chance to make a World Cup squad, and they never get back.
Yeah, it's very difficult, and I missed out in '99. It was, I suppose, it's a shock to a player because everybody wants to go here, and it's hard. You're 40 players there now. There's a few already after being cut. And
did you know you weren't going to make it, or did you think you were?
No, I thought I knew I was on the periphery a little bit. In '03, I was more confident in making it. Probably '07 again, a little bit on the periphery because I was coming back from a knee injury. So I was overjoyed to make that one in '07. It turned out not to be a good one to be on, but they're tough, because they are life kind of changing moments. And for younger players, you think you'll always get the opportunity. People who are a little bit older, who've been kind of on the fringes for a few years, if they kind of miss out on this one, they're thinking new era under Andy Farrell. When he comes in, will they get another look in?
Yeah. So they've made their decision. They've told World Rugby. Have they told them by now? Or are they telling them today?
Sometime this morning. Yeah, I think so.
And then he's going to tell the players.
So we believe he's going to tell the players who are not selected.
Right.
Which is tricky because you think,
why don't they just announce it?
It's going to be kept internal then? Is it going to stay internal? I think players who don't make it will certainly talk. Even though they'll be warned not to talk to people, it'll be hard to go around with that kind of negative news.
You seem a little bit down. What's going on? No, I'm fine.
It's a tricky one, and I think it's probably to try and keep people on their toes before Saturday and announce it next Sunday or Monday then to the public.
What's the reason behind it?
Yeah, come on.
I don't know.
It doesn't make any sense when you talk about it. When you say it like that, like.
Yeah, I think it's probably. See, if you're going, this is speculation. Rory O'Connor is saying this, and maybe this is the information he's been given. I don't know. Are the players who are not going to be selected told?
Yeah.
I don't think that makes sense if you're still going to keep it quiet. I just think don't tell anybody anything until next Sunday, which I suspect could be the case. I don't know. I'm not saying that Rory's wrong there, but I don't see the sense of telling 8 or 10 fellas that they're not going, and then trying to keep it quiet.
So that people who are going
get
don't
out
know.
Then, they'll end up knowing then. So it's look, there's a reason Joe is doing this for a reason, and I'm not really sure. I think it would be better just to keep it quiet, not tell any of them.
Is it not better to tell everybody? So is this because some players?
You either do one or the other. You tell.
Every other World Cup squad is known now, basically. All the other ones.
And that's fine if Ireland don't release it. If they send it into World Rugby and the players are not told, it won't get out. But if some players are told they're not going,
World Rugby won't release it?
Get out. No, they won't release it. No, they won't. No.
It wouldn't leak out from there, no?
No, it won't. It won't leak out from there. So I suspect that maybe what happened. But look, we're speculating here. I don't know. The final cut will.
Is this all about controlling the narrative again? Is this? So we're talking about this instead of going, was the performance good enough at the weekend?
I'm thinking it's trying to keep people really on their toes for this week again, given where Ireland have come from, and given the fact that there may be an injury or two and there may be a change or two. So if 2 guys got injured on Saturday, you have to bring 2 guys in from the outside, whereas you can make those adjustments without having conversations with people. I don't know, it's tough. I always genuinely remember, though, for players, no matter how set in stone your name is,
you want to know.
You want to know, but it's brilliant to get your name read out. The guys with 80, 100 caps, 90 caps, whatever, their name is read out. It's a brilliant moment for you, and given maybe some of the negativity that's been attached to the side in the last few months, they'll be excited going there, and the performance of the weekend was much more energetic. It was still sloppy in some areas. The thing that pleases me as a former forward is the lineup was good, the scrum was good, and the confrontational style which we need was much better. And I'm sure they were, guys were playing for a ticket on that plane as well, so it was much better. There were two weakened sides, and that's not being disrespectful to any of the players that were on there, but it was much better from Ireland.
Jack Carty was man of the match. Was he man of the match, really?
Yeah, he did really well, to be fair. He put his hand up, and I think I think it's kind of unfair on Ross Byrne the week before, given that the whole team collapsed in Twickenham, and that your fly half usually is profits on the back of a forward performance, and he didn't get that, so he didn't play well himself. Much better forward performance the weekend. You saw this kind of dominance, getting the penalty try from the scrum. The lineup was good. Given that they didn't dominate possession or territory, but they were very confrontational, and I think they were pretty much warned going out there that no matter who you are, you've got to front up today and be more aggressive. So Jack Carty played well. He got a lot of good front football, and Marmion had a better presentation of ball at the breakdown, so they were really aggressive and physical there. So
Byrne was 6.
Ty Byrne was 6. Didn't really get his hands in around the breakdown. Got close on a few occasions. Wales, to be fair, are good at the breakdown. That was one of their successes for the Grand Slam this year. But
he's on the.
Was a little bit quieter.
He's on the ball, isn't he?
He's thereabouts. Yeah. Chris Farrell, Andrew Conway, Will Addison. There's probably 4. Kilcoyne played very well. David Kilcoyne.
How did Peter O'Mahony play at 7? Because if they're really thinking about potentially playing him at 7, then one of the 7s is out.
Well, they are thinking of playing him as a 7 at the World Cup.
And who would
that's
play
why
6?
Play. Well, Ty Byrne could play there. CJ Stander could play there. Jack Conan could play 8. Stander could play 6. Conan could play 6. So it's maybe with a view to looking for that extra little bit of physicality if they play South Africa in a quarter-final, if it happens. So it's, Joe didn't just do it on Saturday just to, because Jordy Murphy was there. He'd probably have been fuming that he didn't get a chance to start as a 7, or Josh van der Fleer didn't get to go there again, or Tommy O'Donnell, who's another 7 who played against Italy. So he's obviously looking at it as an option.
How did he play?
Maybe reshuffle. He played well, yeah. He played better, a lot better than the week before, but they all played a lot better. They probably didn't have a huge amount of possession to make lots and lots of carries, but they were definitely more efficient with the ball and more aggressive, and he had way more involvements.
So if you're thinking about this as trying to time a run, how are we doing? We're trying to time a run to get the team to a point where it's capable of beating Scotland in a couple of weeks, and still be capable of playing their best stuff ever in Irish rugby history in 7.5 weeks against the All Blacks or the Springboks.
Well, a lot of the guys that played Saturday will potentially play against Japan and Russia, or maybe even Samoa. It depends what way Joe mixes it up. I think the side that's selected on Saturday will be near full strength. Possibly the team are close to it, that given maybe 1 or 2 exceptions that will start against Scotland. It looks like Johnny Sexton, Robbie Henshaw, Keith Earls will be back and available.
Will Healy be back? Because I think Kilcoyne's...
I'm not sure yet. Kilcoyne played very well. Healy was walking around last week, and hopefully he'll be back, because I think he was probably one of about 2 that played that showed that promise against England. So it'd be good to have him back, and ideally you want to get through Saturday, this Saturday it's a home game, and this is one that you can really build momentum. It's not winning the game again is more important for Ireland, I think, given that they're trying to build some confidence and momentum. And if they time this right, we won't be thinking about England. If we were to win a quarter-final potentially, I know it's a long shot now. All our expectations are really dampened, but if Joe produce, and look, if they do produce a really good World Cup, well, everyone will say, well, Joe got the
Master stroke.
It was a master stroke, you know, and it's, you used to know that, Anthony, in sport. It's the same. Everyone's saying Jim Gavin got it wrong yesterday, and they naturally we all kind of look for a narrative or a story in the story, if you like, and I think they need to get a lot better. Their attack needs to get a lot better. Someone like Bundy Aki was so much better on Saturday.
Why?
I don't know, maybe it's an attitude thing, maybe it's an energy thing, maybe it's the heavy workload going into the England game.
Do you buy that? 'Cause
well, look, I know I've been there before. When you come off a very heavy amount of work, 2007 was a prime example. So they've tried to put a lot of work, and like all the teams have. Like Wales were in Switzerland, and their camps were supposed to be grueling as well. So getting the kind of prep right around the fitness and the rugby and getting a good balance there is important. So they did come off a pretty heavy period. England were probably a week or two ahead as regards their rugby prep. So there was a culmination of things that went wrong, and attitude, and maybe Joe admitted that some of them didn't have their eye on the ball. So someone like Bundy Aki is an incredibly talented player who can change a game in a moment. You saw the try against England. He was really brilliant the other day, running good lines, a threat to the line, bringing people in around him.
But he's a sub, right? He's not in the first team. It's Henshaw and Ringrose is our first choice, is it?
Well, it depends who's selected on Saturday. So I think Aki...
Is Ringrose under threat?
I don't think he's going to play again this Saturday.
For a place in the team, I don't mean the squad, obviously, but...
He's your most creative attacking player, so it depends what way you want to play. If you want to try and go back and maybe be direct and kick a lot and be look for physicality and size. Chris Farrell, I think, was quiet on Saturday. He did some very good stuff, and defensively he's rock solid. But he's a very skillful player as well. He doesn't have the same kind of glitzy swagger as Ringrose has. But it just depends how many centres he brings. Does he bring 4 or 3? If he brings 3, it kind of gives you an extra back 3 player. If he brings 4, someone like Ringrose can play in, or Henshaw can play on the wing. Yeah. Which is, I'm not sure what way he'll go.
Andrew Conway obviously is.
He played very well.
He's on the bubble,
and, yeah, and I've seen.
Conway not a head of armour actually, really, at the moment. Should he not be? This is the first run.
Well, he played exceptionally well, and I don't think I've seen Andrew Conway play a bad game for Ireland. I think he's full of that energy, that enthusiasm. He runs brilliant inside lines. His work rate is through the roof. He's good in the air. So there's very little you can fault with his game. Larmour then has this kind of X factor. He's still a bit kamikaze, if you like, in the way he plays, but is an incredible rugby player, an incredible talent. And I think it's a massive risk leaving someone like Larmour out. I'd love to see both of them go because they offer something different in attack, and I think they both deserve to go.
Instead of...
Oh, you're putting me on the line here.
I was picking 17 players for the Dubs earlier on for the replay.
Like I say, it depends on what. Like, I think between Will Addison, Jordan Larmour, and Andrew Conway, only 2 will go. So it just depends what way you're looking at the full-back situation. Do you say, can you put a Larmour or an Earls at full-back?
Earls could play full-back, couldn't he?
Yeah, or do you put a Henshaw back full-back?
Again, I mean, you would like to have seen him do a bit more in the meantime.
Yeah, with Leinster, or play some of the warm-up games at a full-back. I wouldn't totally rule that out. It just depends. I think 2 into 3 there, and that's probably the way it's going to end up.
Having seen this week, we're a week on from the humiliation at Twickenham. Has the fear that game brought, has that disappeared a little bit?
No, I don't think so. I don't think it has disappeared. And I think it'll be a good thing in the long run. I think, look, we got a bit of a dose of reality and what reality can bring after the Six Nations and the way things can change. And you look at the ranking system now, Wales are number 1 in the world. We would have been number 1 on Saturday if we won by more than 15. We were number 1 in the world for 20 minutes during that game. It's a flawed kind of system at this point. I think in 2018 we were number 1 in the world, and it should be based on maybe the teams you beat above you.
Yeah.
So if you beat if New Zealand are one, you should jump up a couple of spots. And if I think Ireland were the best team in the world in 2018, and it's a pity the World Cup wasn't on that November. But I think that fright that they've got in the Six Nations, and particularly against England, really kind of would strike a fear. It can damage confidence for sure. And Joe said it after the Six Nations, players were a bit broken. But I think if they can steadily build a little bit now, and ultimately if they they've got to beat Scotland. If they beat Scotland, they're up and running. If they lose to Scotland, then Japan becomes more difficult. Then Samoa could throw a spanner in the works.
It's a disaster. You can see it derailing pretty quickly.
There's a lot of good players there, and I think they need to show character and togetherness. And hopefully, you would hope that the likes of Carberry is back, that Healy is there, that there's loads of options, attacking options. Like there is conundrums about who you pick in the centre, who you pick. Will
Carberry get back, Alan?
I think there's. I met him a few weeks ago, and he was pretty confident. I think the worry when you're out for a while, Anthony, is being undercooked a little bit. And we saw that with Munster this year when he came back for that quarter final against Edinburgh, where he hurt the leg again. You know, it's sometimes when you're out for a while. Yeah. But he's an incredible talent, and I think he's so important to some sort of variety that he can bring, that you can put him in as a full-back or bring him off the bench. So hopefully he'll be back.
You had Tyndall on, and he was saying that, probably not trying to sound arrogant, but he was just saying that, England and maybe a couple of other teams have worked Ireland out, that if you can get amongst the forwards, if you can stop the forward power and all that, well, then you can kind of have their number. So, my worry for it, and listen, this is only an amateur view, obviously, is do we have a second game plan? Is there something different?
That's what I think what served Ireland so well, Anthony, was a direct approach around the kicking game, being incredibly efficient at the breakdown, being aggressive, not really making many mistakes, incredible discipline. So their penalty count in all those games they won in 2018 was very low, very, very disciplined. But I think, as you say, it's very obvious to see that England decided rough Ireland up, be in their faces, slow them down, and then they're not used to this kind of natural flow of throwing caution to the wind and being, you know what you're going to get from them, because they don't really go outside the structured game plan. People have criticised them for being not expansive enough. I think there's a mixture there in that. They're quite ambitious to play, and they're very brave in the way they play. They try and move the ball a lot, but it's not kind of caution to the wind, off the cuff stuff. It's not heads up sometimes. So I would hope that, to be fair to Joe, he's always found something to win big games in the last couple of years, and he's had these moments. So I just hope that there's something in the locker that when they go to the World Cup, that they will show something. I truly believe that they will have a different approach.
You'd have to think
what we're going to see in the warm-ups, we're not going to see strike plays. We're not going to see, Ireland hitting up the middle 3 times and then going back to blindside. We're not going to be able to see.
You can't just turn that on, though.
So when
you've got to try it at some point.
But you're a professional athlete.
Joe, or Ger, the try that Stander gets in Twickenham. You never saw that before. That's what we need to see, some of that stuff. And then when Ireland get what that
was our most confident performance at the end of a roll.
But there was good stuff in Australia as well, and there was obviously the All Blacks game, the Stockdale try. Yeah. So we need some more of that. Okay. But I think there needs to be a little bit more openness in our attack, and it needs to get better.
Yeah. Well, I think we all agree with that. 9:03 this morning. Alan, good stuff. Thanks a million for joining us. Right, another opportunity to enter our competition as Ireland prepare for their final Guinness Series clash against Wales in the Aviva this weekend that we've just been talking about. Their official partner, Dove Men Plus Care, is giving you and your mate the chance to be part of the captain's run. You can join the IRFU kitman John Moran as he prepares the dressing room for the Irish rugby team ahead of their final training session before the big game. With thanks to Dove Men Plus Care, the winner will also receive a pair of tickets to see Ireland take on Wales at the Aviva the following day. To be on the chance to win, share the show wherever you're watching or listening to OTB AM. Tell us the one player you'd pick in Ireland's Rugby World Cup squad if you could bring back any Irish player from retirement. I see someone's putting Simon Zebo in, so past or present we'll take. And just use the hashtag #OneToughJob.